Welcome. I'd like to open the Merrimack School Board meeting for May 6th, 2024. If everyone will stand with me to say the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. Tonight we have some wonderful recognition, so it's great to see a full house. But before we begin, I would like to open up for public participation. If you would like to come and share with the board, you are welcome to do so. Please state your name and address. If you are a student, you only have to state your name. All right, well, with that, we are going to move on to some amazing recognitions tonight. So I'm going to start with Bill, and then I'm going to move it on to Ken.
Well, we are so pleased to be able to recognize some of our band and chorus members who have performed outstandingly well, both at the high school and middle school level. As a former trumpet player, I have to tell you, I would never have made this list. So, unfortunately, but the students we're honoring tonight are the best of the best. And we are so proud of everyone. You know what happens in the classroom, the athletic field, but it happens also in the music rooms, the bands, the marching bands, the chorus, all part of child development and all part of making a great school system. And so with that, we are going to award some some certificates of recognition.
All right, Ken.
Those the Papagenos, Bill? Inside joke, folks.
Yeah, I just want to take a minute as I talk about probably way too much. I am a music educator, and I'm on the executive board for the New Hampshire Music Educators Association as well. And this particular night of recognitions is extra special to me because my role in the NHMEA organization is I am the chairperson for the Middle School District Festival. And so I got to witness firsthand these students participating in this event on Saturday, one of the events that we're recognizing tonight. There were actually three different festivals. The next one is this upcoming weekend that all happened this past Saturday all over the state. One in Lincoln, one in Durham, and then one in Bedford. And our group performed in Bedford. And I had the pleasure of going to all three. I spent my whole day Saturday traveling around the state, watching all these groups perform. In order to go to the event this past weekend, students had to be nominated. And in order to be nominated, you have to demonstrate a certain level of proficiency on your instrument or your voice. It's not as simple as just showing up, being nice to your teacher, and doing your homework. You have to show that you know what you're doing on your instrument and with your voice. And the music they picked this year was exceptionally difficult, to the point where it was even a little controversial amongst the band directors. And they did an incredible job with that. So I was really, really happy when I saw that we were recognizing these folks tonight and to be a part of that as well. In addition, the Honor Band Festival is all done by auditions. And so these students, and you see a lot of the same names on this list, these students weren't just recommended by their teachers, but they also had to submit recordings of themselves performing a certain set of repertoire as well. And this is open not just to the South Central District, which is, a lot of the bigger cities in our state. The Honor Band Festival is the entire state. So hundreds of students audition for this. So in order for them to get accepted, once again, they have to prove a certain level of proficiency that's not easy to attain at the middle school level. And then last but not least, our composition contest, which is a relatively new event in New Hampshire, and by new, I mean like 5 or 6 years old. This event has grown to the point, I remember when they first started this, there were 3 submissions. Way back, and now there's over 25, to the point where it's broken down by level, high school, middle school, even elementary school, where these students create music and write music. And to be accepted and to even win is pretty impressive. And we get to hear a lot of these performances at our big all-member meeting in April, a lot of these compositions. they're incredible. You would never know that like a high school or a middle school student wrote them. So from me to you, congratulations. You're my people. I'm always so excited whenever we get to honor our musicians here, especially our young musicians. We talk a lot about the high school program, but they don't get that way at the high school without what you guys do at the middle school. So thank you so much for being here, and I can't wait to give you your gift certificate to Papa Gino's.
All right, so we will be coming forward to give your certificate and congratulate you while Board Member Hardy reads your name. So come forward when you hear your name.
Okay, we are going to start with the student who was chosen as the New Hampshire music educator, or who was recognized in the New Hampshire Music Educators Composition Contest, and that is Bowden Walters. Next. This is a list of students, so maybe if we hold our applause to the end of the list. These are the students that were recognized from the New Hampshire Music Educators Association South Central Regional Honor Band and Chorus Festival. And as Mr. Martin mentioned, these students were selected to audition by nomination. These students are Lauren Brodsky. Come up when you're called, but we'll hold our applause to the end. Nora Campbell. Ella Duvall. Yeah, stay up. Yep, stay up here. And we'll Hunter Gladding. Tucker Landry. Jacinda Reisman. Parker Chevelle. Josephine Swisher. Sadie Taylor. And once again, Bowden Walters. And that is the list. So your parents can take pictures. Move in so your parents can take pictures. Maybe some of you on the other side of Mr. Olson, like the last three over there. How about on the other side of Mr. Olson? I'm going to get out of the way of this picture. All right, once again, congratulations on all your hard work. Yeah, now you can be seated. Next up, we are going to honor another group of students who were recognized by the New Hampshire Band Directors Association Middle Level Honor Band Festival, and these students were selected to participate by audition. Merrimack Middle School had the most participating students from any school statewide. And these students are, and again, we'll do the same thing we just did. These students are Lauren Brodsky, Nora Campbell, Ella Duvall, Hunter Gladding, Sam Greenspan, Noah Hanault, Maya Cricelli, Tucker Landry, Ryan Marone, Grace Massey, Sarah McDowell, and Asher Remy. Now we can. And that is our whole group. Scoot in for a picture for your parents. All right, students, you can return your seats, but I think, do you still have certificates in your hand? Okay, so of course we know that these students could never make the incredible strides that they make in their music education without incredible teachers. So we, of course, want to honor our incredible teachers, our instrumental music director, Holly Levine. And I don't see him here, but maybe I'm missing him. Our Merrimack Middle School chorus teacher and music teacher at TFS, Matthew McGinnis. And I'll go ahead and say from experience, I know anybody that has ever been taught by either one of them knows just how incredible and hardworking they are, and the results they get speak for themselves, really, because we have a lot of talented students, but they can reach the level they reach because of the teachers that we have. So thank you for all you do. And while we know the rest of this meeting will be deeply fascinating to you all, we understand if you don't want to sit here for the next 2 hours, so it is okay to go home. You're welcome.
And once again, we congratulate all of our middle school students and their accomplishments. All right, we're going to move on to informational updates. Superintendent update.
Thank you, Lori. From Josh Pelton at the high school. As you know, I reported at a prior meeting that a bowling club was beginning at the middle school. And according to Josh, that has started very successfully and is growing with an increasing number of students. So we congratulate the coaches on that accomplishment and the students who are participating. It's a great sport, and look forward to giving you more reports on it in the future. Also from Josh, with the addition of new computers to the computer programming classes next year that are in the budget, we'll be offering 3 years of 3 different languages. We're offering Python, C++, and Rust. Along with the robotics team that uses Java, the students will then be able to learn 4 languages in their journey through high school, which is extraordinary. Just a note from Carolyn Masterson at the high school. Carolyn has indicated that a former student who is currently attending Plymouth State University has reported to her that he is graduating about 1.5 years early because of the opportunities that he had to earn credits through the dual enrollment program in running start classes in the business department. So congratulations there, staff and programming doing great things for our students. Wonderful report from the staff at the high school on the production of Mamma Mia. Bill Maniotis sent a correspondence indicating that it was 2 straight hours of people dancing and singing in the aisles. As you know, that's a production. And all of the songs from ABBA, which go back many, many years, my generation. There were about 20 songs that in that show, and so it was nonstop. We congratulate Ms. Tobin and Mr. Beck for their outstanding work with the students and the entire cast and crew. As you know, we mentioned about a year ago that we want to build up the theater arts program, and that's what we will be committed to doing. It is such an essential part of students' growth and development, and we're not going to look back. We are going to continue to grow that program as much as we possibly can. Always good news from Sarah Campbell and Sally Agal that for the 7th year in a row, students on the Granite State Challenge team will be entering the finals. They just edged a great team from Trinity High School, final score being 410 to 390. It was a kind of a last-minute win, and we congratulate the students and the staff. They go on to the Super Challenge. So this is the 7th overall trip, the 5th year in a row that the Merrimack team is competing for the top prize. This year's team, Keyshawn Srinivasan, Trey Grant, Aaron Murray, Liam Clark, Shelby Pennington, and Avis either Clever or Cleaver. And so we congratulate them on their extraordinary work, and really congratulations to Sarah and Sally on all of the incredible work that they put in with the team. From Bonnie Pencho from Reeds Ferry, Plymouth State University's Tiger Performance Group. That's theater, integrating guidance, education, and responsibility. Came and gave a performance on courage, gratitude, forgiveness, and compassion to our 2nd and 3rd grade students. Also, the Carriage Shack Farm, a traveling farm, brought petting farm experience to the Reeds Ferry School, which was very positive experience, particularly for kindergarten students. And the Reeds Ferry 4th grade chorus will be performing at the Reeds Ferry on May 9th this week at 6 p.m. They were fabulous during our morning assembly, and looking forward to a great performance from them. And also just a note from one of our preschool staff, and let me see if I can locate that they took a nature walk. And this is from, I believe it was from Reeds Ferry also. And they worked with the preschool children in talking about the changes in spring and summer. Changes to the environment, changes to the herbivorous plants, changes in animal habits. And it was a terrific exploratory and learning experience for the preschool children, keeping in mind that these are our youngest learners and how much it meant to them. And so whether our students are in preschool or grade 12, our job and our staff does an outstanding job of making sure that they have wonderful developmental opportunities. And so congratulations to all of our staff and students. And I know Chase has some exciting information also on sports, and I'm going to save that for her. But we always appreciate what our staff and students do.
Thank you. Comments from the board?
I just want to make one comment. First of all, I also heard the same feedback about Mamma Mia. I heard it was incredible. I wasn't able to be there because I found out about it a little too late, but it was extremely exciting to hear that. I think the last time they had a musical, they performed a musical with 0 microphones. And this time I was told that there were microphones and everybody could be heard loud and clear, which made the whole ABBA and Mamma Mia experience even better. So that made me very happy because no performer should ever have to perform without a microphone. It causes them to strain their voice, among other things. It also really impacts the audience's experience. So the investment that we've made in theater arts is already reaping benefits, and to see it kind of come roaring back. I have a really good theater friend who saw the show and said, you would have had no notes.
Great to hear.
All right, moving on to the Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum Update.
Good evening, everyone. Next Friday, May 17th, is an early release day in the Merrimack School District. Students will be released 2 hours early. All of our staff will be engaging in mandatory training on suicide prevention. So again, we want to thank the community for their flexibility and understanding of the early release time so that we can provide the mandatory and recommended training to our staff. And I'm also excited to let you know that the Teacher Evaluation Model Committee met today for our last scheduled meeting, and members of the committee will be here at the board meeting on Monday, June 17th, to provide a presentation to you about the collaborative work that we've done this school year. And we are planning to implement our new model beginning next school year. I didn't see this on the agenda, so I just wanted to also note that in your packet is an invitation from Harley Hall to our first ever adult diploma graduation. It'll be on Thursday, June 6th, and I know that Harley is really excited for us all to come and recognize our graduates. And I know that Harley's done a lot of work, and just want to take a minute to also thank Board Member Rothaus, who has helped along the way to bring this adult diploma program to Merrimack. We're really excited to celebrate these students.
Comments from the board? All right, moving on to Assistant Superintendent for Business Update.
Yeah, I just want to mention that today we finalized the bid process for the door lock hardware, around $267,000 worth of new hardware that's going to protect our kids. We're going to replace some of the older units we have. We're going to add some additional ones. And I just want to thank Tom Tussaud for him working with me side by side and sometimes telling me, Matt, this is what you need to do, which is okay. I don't mind that. I think that's great. And so we wrapped that up today and we awarded the contract, and it'll be forthcoming over the next few weeks and maybe perhaps the summertime. We do have a deadline from the DOE that's a self-imposed state deadline. It's not a federal deadline for the Safe School grants of December 31st to get everything installed and operational and billed out and reimbursed. And we had until June 1st in order to encumber the funds and create purchase orders. So our next step is to look at security cameras, which Tom and I will be working on together. Because it's just not let's add cameras. It's basically how many cameras can we add given the capability of our servers. So if we want to add 10 cameras at the high school, our server could only maybe handle 5 more. So we have to look at doing upgrades and whatever. So we have various companies coming through, and led by, Tom's leading them around, showing them all our gear to give us the proper specifications for what we need to bid, because we want to do it correctly. So locks are done. I'm really happy with that. I'd like to thank Tom with all his efforts. And next is security cameras, and we're going to jump right on that and get that thing done. So we're not going to let any money slip through our hands if the state gives it to us. Thank you.
Comments from the board? Lori?
Matt, I just have a question on the security cameras. So the security cameras have the ability to go back. So if there was an incident had at a certain part of the school, a student said there was bullying, they can go back, and they have the ability to bring that whole program back up and view those. So
yeah, we've utilized that quite a bit. I think it's I think I said 90 days. I think it's 60, Tom. It varies between schools, how big the hard drives are and whatnot. So we want to kind of standardize things. But yeah, we have the ability to go back, let's say 6-8 weeks for a particular time, particular date, everything like that. It's got a little calendar function. You pick between 8 a.m. and 8:30 a.m. when the incident thing, and you could zero right in on it. So we use those extensively. And it's been a tremendous tool for the schools and for us also, to see what happened in the middle of the night that's mysterious, because these cameras, when it becomes dark out, they can see everything. It's not like once it's dark they can't see anything. They really pick up everything we have. So
And the importance, I know that in the past, like schools had security cameras, but they would have them, go around, and so then you could miss it. So for us to have the ability to have real time, even though you're going to backtrack it and be able to see exactly what happened, is such an important tool for us.
I would say every exit and every entrance is covered by a security camera. And we have various cameras in different locations, like the bus loop going the side of the high school. We have one pointed this way, one pointed this way, so you can literally follow the buses going around the high school. And we have a big PTZ, pan, tilt, zoom camera focused on the parking lot where the kids park. So you could zoom in if you want to zoom in, but we keep that kind of a wide, angle. But then, we utilize that if there's any shenanigans going on in the parking lot, be it vandalism or something like that, we can pick that up. So they've been a great asset to us over the years. I think we were one of the first school districts in the state of New Hampshire to really kind of have them. And it was actually a petition warrant article by Jody Valancourt back in the day that brought $210,000 worth of security cameras our way, and that's how it all started with us. So it's been a definite benefit to us, and the amount of vandalism we have has gone down significantly. They paid for themselves over the years.
Thank you so much. All right, school board update. I want to take a moment. It is National Teacher Appreciation Week, and I'd like to say, chair of the board, from the whole school board, how much we appreciate our teachers here in the district and teachers everywhere. I became a teacher 7 years ago and had no idea how much extra unpaid overtime you put into teaching. But beyond that, the investment of your heart and soul, sweat, tears to every student. So I want to thank our teachers. Please know we appreciate you very, very much. And I'd also like to say it's National Nurses Week. And so I want to thank our school nurses and their commitment to the health of our students and being there as a listening ear. I know oftentimes nurses are a place where students will go when maybe they just need to be heard, and their tummy ache or their headache is more related to how they're feeling in the moment. So we appreciate the work that our nurses do, along with the education they provide in our schools. As a mom, I have one daughter who is a nurse and another daughter who's a special education teacher. So to me, both of these weeks are very close to my own heart. I'd like to add our congratulations as well to our Granite State Challenge team. It was a nail biter to the end. And so I am so excited that you all are going on to the finals on May 16th, and we will be cheering you on. Looking forward, as Amy had already said, our adult diploma graduation, this has been a top priority for the board and administration. Our ELOs, our alternative pathways to graduation, and our adult education has been a major goal to make sure every student in Merrimack receives a diploma and that they reach their full potential. And so this is going to be an exciting night to attend this graduation. It's at 5:30 on June 6th, and I encourage people to come. And finally, I want to encourage everyone, 6 weeks to go. 6 weeks to go. Today was a little taste of summer. We're going to have some more taste of late winter, early spring later this week to remind us that we have 6 weeks to go. But I want to encourage everyone, all of our faculty and staff and administration, you can do it. We've got this.
27 school days.
I was
but
just
we're
going to
not
say,
counting.
can we say 27 school days? Because that sounds so much better.
Track or anything,
All right, moving on to our student representative update.
Yeah, thank you so much. I also just wanted to echo what Mr. Olson and Mrs. Hardy, said about Mamma Mia. Just being alone in the Saturday matinee audience, I saw so many faculty, staff, their families, students, friends of those performing, and just altogether community members. And it was just a really, really great turnout. We've had some changes in the theater program in the high school over the years, and it was just a really joyous performance. You could really see the accumulation of all those hours of tech week, which is, very difficult, the passion that all the directors put into it, and it was just a really great turnout, especially seeing so many staff members and faculty members there. It was a really, really good production. So I just wanted to take a moment to congratulate all those who participated and also thank all the members who came out to see it. Also for music, I have a statement from the high school band director, Mr. McWalter, on our upcoming high school band concert, which we have some exciting news about that. So on Thursday, May 16th, the MHS Music Department will be having its spring concert. This is the final concert for the class of 2024, and we're ending the year with an exciting program from our concert band, chorus, and jazz band. During this concert, the MHS Concert Band will be performing the world premiere, big deal, very cool, of a song called Zadok Fantasy. Mr. McWalter is close friends with composer Spencer Wiles and asked him to write a difficult 7-minute piece of music for the band. He completed the song in March, and we've been working on it since. Spencer Wiles is a young composer who in a very short time has received international recognitions for his music. He has had music performed in the U.S., South Korea, Norway, and France, and that list continues to grow. He will be coming into MHS this Wednesday to work with the band, and he'll be at the concert on May 16th. We're very excited to provide this incredible opportunity for the students, and we hope to see you all there. So as a reminder, Thursday, May 16th, I believe that's next week. It's going to be a great concert. Like I said, world premiere. It's pretty big deal, pretty cool. So yeah. I also wanted to speak to what Mr. Olson said about different learning opportunities in the high school. This week, today actually, Monday, May 6th, we kicked off AP testing, which goes from today, Monday, May 6th, through Friday, May 17th, which the Merrimack High School held during the day and going into the afternoon. And for students in general, AP tests are a wonderful way to demonstrate their accumulated knowledge from rigorous classes, challenge themselves, and earn college credit, which is a really great opportunity. So we're really thankful to have a wide array of AP tests and classes offered at the high school in Merrimack. And then last but definitely not least, I have a big athletics update. So I wanted to start with the spring sports teams. Have been playing very well this spring, kicking off the season with a bang. Baseball teams 8-2 record and the softball teams 7-4 record. Also tomorrow, Tuesday, May 7th, the athletics department is holding the National Letter of Intent signing ceremony, which is going to be from 4 to 5 p.m. in the high school gym, which is for respective athletes and their families. And then I have a little list here of all the students that are going to be celebrated during that. So first we have Meredith Lebelzik for swimming, who's applying to committed to Sacred Heart. We have Samantha Martin for softball to SUNY Delhi, Emily Angelo for wrestling to Iowa Central Community College, Alexis Best for track and field at University of Rhode Island, Lillian Petroselli in volleyball for Franklin Pierce University, CJ Little for track and field at Plymouth State, Garen Brown for football at Endicott, Anthony Almonte also on football for Western Connecticut State University, Ella Fong in track for the American International College, and Sam Lina for volleyball at Brevard College. In addition, Emily Angelo, who was mentioned at this list for wrestling, won her second straight state championship at 132 pounds in wrestling the past winter. She was also highlighted in the Union Leader this weekend for winning the Tricia Saunders, High School Excellence Award. And specifically, this High School Excellence Award is presented each year to a female high school senior and is based equally on their outstanding wrestling success and scholastic achievement and citizenship or community service. And the national winner is selected from state and regional winners. So it's a really, really great award. So congrats, Emily Angelo. And then finally, there are 15 home athletes events scheduled for this week. So if anybody's interested, any town members or any students, you can find all that information and the schedule on the athletics homepage or by just searching for Merrimack High School Big Teams website. And in the next few weeks, the spring tournament will be upon us, so we look forward to multiple teams being able to represent our school. Congrats, Merrimack athletes.
Comments from the board?
I just want to say thank you. Your updates are so well prepared.
Thank you so much.
I honestly learned so much, and having 2 kids in the high school, I thought I knew a lot of what was going on. But I'm really grateful for you taking the time. You really do a great job preparing your updates.
Thank you so much, and I'm really grateful to be here. So yeah, thank you again for having me. It's great to have a chance to represent Merrimack High School.
May I just mention one other thing? I'm sorry I forgot to mention this earlier. This is the time of year that we have the first-year staff come back. As you may or may not know, I have the final interview with teacher candidates before they're hired. Don't necessarily hire everyone, but when they're hired, I ask them to come back to meet with us around this time of year to tell us about their first year's experience and any suggestions for improvement from their perspective, because I want them to feel engaged and connected with the central office staff. So we're starting the interviews next week, the meetings, and be glad to let you know what we hear from the staff.
I'd like to say one thing about what Bill just said, and then I'll say one thing about our athletics. I think that is a testimony to the culture that you've developed here, that first-year teachers feel like they're comfortable sharing with you that feedback, both positive and constructive. And so I appreciate that. Thank you for the athletic updates. That is awesome. Our sports are doing great this year. It's great to see how they're doing, but I want to congratulate those who are signing their letters of intent. That is a very, very exciting milestone in their life. All right, we will move on to old business with the signing of the Merrimack Educational Support Staff contract for 24-27.
That is something I actually don't believe I have a copy of that.
Usually Mesa is here to sign that.
Okay.
No, is that,
be here.
which one is that? Is that the MTA? Mesa, yeah. Usually they show up.
Checking through my packet, but I think
It'll come back, old business?
It'll be back on old
Yeah,
business,
old
but let me
business.
say this.
Older business.
We are very excited in the that the voters supported that contract. Our educational support staff are amazing. They are the backbone of our district, and so I want to thank the Merrimack voters for having their voice heard and heard loudly for our educational support staff. So I look forward to signing that final contract. All right, so we will move on to the discussion of regarding our goal setting meeting. We had originally at our last regular school board meeting set one for June 27th. However, there have been in that time frame some intractable conflicts for that date. So we are going to have to move that date, and it looks like we need to move it to mid to late July. So I would like everyone to look at their vacation calendars and take a look at potential dates starting around July 11th and forward.
Well, I'll tell you right now, I am gone from the 13th to the 21st. But any time around that day is pretty good.
Can we do it on the 11th? I feel like sooner rather than later is probably better.
Lori cannot do the 11th.
The Hardys aren't awesome at planning vacation, so that's in our vacation window, but there's nothing planned yet.
way we could do it like the 20th of June?
Well, we have, so with the end of school and all the professional development, having those professional developments of 17th and 18th and 19th and wrapping up the school year, I don't think that would be a full day that would work. That's what we had discussed before. It was not a great day for administration.
I'm just saying July's gonna be really hard to get a date. How about
Anything the week of, well, I actually don't want to be the one to throw out a date
I don't wanna throw out a date because I know July is really bad. How about the 21st?
Would you 24th or the 21st?
I think we can do the 20th. So the PD 17th, 18th, and 19th. It would be great to stay away from those days,
Yeah.
just selfishly. But the 20th, I think we could make work if that works for everybody.
Your first day on the job, you came to a goal.
I did, yes. Just show up.
And the good news is that Primex leads us through it.
We haven't been in contact, I think, with Primex, but we
we're
have
gonna
some
do it
other things in the
ourselves
works.
this time.
Well, there's some things going on
Okay.
there that we're waiting to get more information back from Primex on. But either way, 20th of June, how is that for everyone?
Works for me.
Off the top of my head, I think that's good.
Okay, so let's tentatively set that goals meeting for June 20th. Also, we need to talk about our August date. I believe Board Member Rothaus has a conflict.
I was wondering if we could move it to the 19th, the third Monday instead of the second Monday. If that will work.
That's like a normal. That's not a goal setting meeting, right? That's just
No, that would just be a regular,
Okay.
our regular
like
August
band
school
camp
board
that
meeting.
day.
I mean, I won't be here. I'll be dropping my kid off at college.
August 19th.
19. I could do it. But
Depends how you wanna do it, 'cause
I think it's hard to choose. I mean, like, in the summer, things are happening. So
I think, sorry, Lori, I think it makes more sense to keep it on the 12th, just because that like spaces them out more evenly.
and it's a little gives a little runway before school starts if there's anything for some reason that needs to be discussed.
So we
But I won't be offended if you choose the
if
19th.
the four of us are here for the 12th, then we have more than a quorum, and we will be happy to excuse Board Member Rothaus. Okay, so we're going to keep it the 12th of
Lori,
August.
may I just explain, going back to the MESA contract, the reason why we don't have a hard copy is because it needs to be signed electronically. Yes. It's been approved, it's just an electronic signature.
Correct. And we have not received those documents yet electronically.
And sorry, Lori, one last thing, since we're talking about meeting dates. After our last meeting, I looked at my calendar, and I think we had set the July meeting for the 15th, which I found out will not be here for. I found out last night I was not going to be here.
Is everyone else here July 15th?
TBD.
Okay. Let's just hold it as a tentative. Yeah. And I
Yeah.
believe even one year we didn't even have a meeting in July. So let's TBD for July 15th, and we'll see where we are. The goals meeting is the most important that I wanted to make
Yeah,
sure we
that
had on
one's
the
all good.
calendar. So, all right, moving on. I have sent around to everyone, based on the email feedback you sent me, the committee assignments. Those in yellow were not ones that were hard requests, so we need to finalize this tonight. All right, so let's start with the top with Budget Committee. We need a board liaison for that.
Everyone's probably looking at me. I'm okay with doing it again. However, I would like if I'm still going to be on Parks and Rec, the Parks and Rec alternate to commit to doing the 2 Parks and Rec meetings in January and February. And I would like whoever the alternate is to have some coordination, because it was too many meetings between everything I was doing last spring. It was too much.
I think even with the school board budget committee, the school board meetings during the budget season, I don't know if this year was a little bit of an anomaly because I think we had a couple extras in there. But I have to say, I really felt for Naomi,
Yeah,
because
I
she
did
was
too.
every week 2 meetings that went for absolute ever. And that doesn't feel, I hate the word fair, but it doesn't feel equitable. Equitable would be a better
Good word.
And so I think that it sounds wise. It actually just sounds wise. She was really out straight, and she has a life beyond this, believe it or not. And I feel like we don't want to overtax anyone like that.
Well, and one of the things that I want to do once they reorg with their chair and vice chair is to sit down with them on meeting structure, so that maybe between the school board and the budget committee, we can work towards, so there's no more 11 o'clock meetings, that there's a set agenda, but also to open it up that if it needs to be continued, it can be continued. So I think that would minimize at least the long nights, and maybe some creative ideas in the way approaching those presentations and things like that. So I think as Jenna and I work with the chair and vice chair of the budget committee, we can move towards maybe a little more tighter structure to those meetings, so that the budget committee gets all their questions answered and they have all of their discussions, but maybe in a more timely way. Also, we had some snow days early that pushed our meetings forward, that pushed their meetings forward. So we are going to hope that we do not have a repeat of that, so that our work is done far sooner in advance than it was this past year, which also made it difficult for Naomi. Lori.
So I just have 2 things. One, I think that the alternate for the budget committee, even if we rotate it, there should be, even if that person doesn't sit at the table, sits at the meetings, because by going to the meeting, sometimes I think just having another board member there who could get up and speak
It was helpful at the end.
is very helpful. And so, there could be an alternate, but then everybody on the school board should show up, or, have a.
We can have a rotating schedule of who
rotating
goes
schedule,
to which
and-
one.
And I'm going to
yeah,
be
and-
there, especially at those towards
Right,
the
because-
end, at every one of those ones towards the
Right,
end.
because I think with any of the committee assignments, I think that there are heavy lifting in some, and I know that the Mesa contract certainly was heavy lifting also, so trying to make sure that there's a balance of responsibility.
Yeah. And I'm happy to, my only, and the fact that we're having this conversation makes me feel better about it. Just, I know when the budget committee meetings happen in December, that's like, I have concerts like every week. So I can't commit to every budget committee meeting in December, but if there's like an understanding that we're going to kind of spread the wealth, I'm happy to do,
Yeah, we just
go to the ones
rotate
I can go
and
to.
someone's
So when
always
that
there.
schedule's set, I will email all of you, and you just put in what day you want to be the representative
that's great.
there, and that'll take some of that heavy lifting off. And also, going back to your comment about Parks and Rec, Lori, you were willing to step up for that.
I was willing to take it back.
Oh, okay.
So unless you want to keep it, I don't mind being the alternate, but I said I would take that committee back.
I mean, Parks and Rec is fun and
It
it's
is fun.
easy, and I really like
But
all
you
the
could be
people
the
on
alternate.
it. Yeah, you want to flip flop?
Yeah, we'll flip-flop.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do that.
Sounds good.
One more thing about budget committee before I forget. I just want to clarify. I'm sure we all know this, but the only people who are able to have a vote in the budget committee
Correct.
meetings are going to be the rep and the alternate.
Correct.
So
Exactly.
other people can go and we can like provide information, but
Correct.
they won't be able to vote
To
in the
vote.
meetings.
That is correct. All right, we need an alternate to the delegate of the NHSBA.
I'm happy to do that again. That was a fun meeting, unless anybody else wants to enjoy the experience. I learned a lot, but I'm happy to do it again.
Okay, I'll put Ken down. School bus stop committee.
That was me before because obviously it can be me again.
Okay.
All right.
You seem the most qualified for that one.
Yeah.
As of yet, in my 2 years on the board and my 2 years on that committee, we have not met. So
We try and manage it that way, so.
And we have a couple of those coming up. That's why I have them starred. For district parent group, I have Jenna Hardy, and we need an alternate, and then we're going to discuss that in just a second. So I'd like to be an alternate to the district parent group.
I'm happy to be an alternate to the district parent group. Sure.
So I think part of our goals meeting, we need to address these, the district parent group, the communications group, the athletic advisory group. We had discussed a couple of those. For example, on the communications committee, I put myself and Jenna there specifically as chair and vice chair because that's one of our goals. And we're going to talk in just a few minutes more about communications, but I think we need to get that committee standing. And same with the district parent group. And let me jump down. I put Jenna and Lori again on the athletic advisory committee. That was new, but we need to stand it up and get it moving as well. So we need to talk about those at our goals meeting. For policy committee, Naomi, I didn't assume, but I thought you might want to still be with me on that one.
I would, yes.
Okay.
And then the only it doesn't have to change. My only issue with the professional development
Correct.
committee this year is that from January until April, I wasn't able to attend any of those meetings.
And that's why I put myself down there for
Oh,
you.
did I miss that?
Yeah,
oh,
I'm your alternate.
Oh, sweet. All right, cool. Never mind.
All right. And then, Matt, we had you down for Greater Woods and Town Center Committee. Would you like to continue? Okay.
I'll
Lori.
be on that one if you want.
Which one?
Either one, both. They meet during the day though, right? The town center committee Fridays,
meets at noon on Fridays.
noon on Fridays. So I'll do the town center.
Okay.
Says, if you want to do the town center committee, be my guest.
Matt, turn your mic on.
If you want to do the town, yeah, it's up to you. I mean.
You're doing both. Oh.
I do both.
You wanted a school board member too.
No.
I could do it with you. I think you should be there because it's so important. He's been the rep the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Then keep it.
Okay, thank you.
But I think it would be good for a school board member to hear. Not that we don't trust you, Matt. We totally got you. We totally
Okay,
trust you.
That's fine.
So Matt will do it and I'll be your alternate and I'll
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Perfect.
You can sit right next to Finley because I usually sit next to him.
Lori, can I ask a question about the PD committee?
Yes.
Are you going to be the primary and Ken is the on my list it says that Ken's the rep and you're the alternate. Is that being flopped?
No, it's going to stay that way. But when
Okay.
he can't do January to April, so then I'll be the alternate for that.
Okay. All right. I'll make sure you both get a Zoom link.
I still get the Zoom link.
I can make the meeting this month. I'm very excited.
All right, great. Well, thank you, everyone, and I will finalize this list and get this into Sandy and Pat. Thank you. All right, request to hire at will, Bill.
This is a request that we make each year. Basically, if there is an opening that we need to fill, with the understanding that school board meetings are kind of fewer and farther between in the summer, you have generally given us the okay to go ahead and hire. We would obviously report that out to you in the consent agenda at a later date, but it allows us to not lose quality candidates who might be interested in filling a position for which we have an opening.
Comments or questions from the board?
I have one. So if we don't hire an assistant principal by July 1st, then, could we have an emergency meeting to hire the, principals, assistant principals, directors? I think would be my,
We could do that, sure, because if it's your preference to interview those positions, we will definitely schedule those meetings accordingly so that we don't lose candidates.
and would it be fair if we said like June 1st, you start the hire at will June 1st, and, so you have more time?
That would be fine.
Anyone else? Okay.
Do I have a motion with those amendments?
I'll make a motion to accept the request to hire at will with those amendments.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? 500. That was a motion by Ken and seconded by Naomi.
Thank you.
All right, discussion to improve communication.
Well, you set in our goal-setting meeting communications as a high priority this year, and we certainly agree with that. It's been easier said than done because communications really requires a lot of study, a lot of strategic planning in terms of the who, what, when, where, and why. And so I have to say, honestly, we're still not there. Now, we are addressing that in the strategic plan. We have a family and community engagement focus section in the strategic plan, but that's a document that needs to be operationalized. And so, we're not into necessarily hiring a new or requesting a new position. I think it's worth a discussion going into the future about do we need a person full-time or part-time, or do we contract with for such a service? There are companies that do provide service in terms of website development and revision, in terms of effective communications on a regular basis. So I think we need to really talk about the best method to achieve the goal that we all know is important. We talked about making the budget presentation more visual and interactive next year, and we're very glad to be doing that. We're all visual in nature. I think I always like to do a lot of graphs, a lot of visual materials for people to help understand the budget, including all of you, the Budget Committee, and the public in general. So we'll be committed to that. But in general, what type of communications do we send out? What frequency? Who's the audience? I think we really need to spend some time thinking through how we want to accomplish more effective communications.
Naomi.
It's not on. This is awesome because my professional career, when I had one, was in this field, and so one of the things that I've been like ever since I got here was like, it's not organized, it's not centralized. I was just thinking as I was listening to all these dates of really cool things that we have coming up, that like, I know there is a district calendar on the website, but like, I don't think everything's on it. And that's the kind of thing where you need a person to manage that. You need, like you were saying, Bill, you need a plan where everybody knows, okay, when I have an event in my school, this is the person I send it to, and that's the person that makes sure it's on the website. And that way, like, you also don't end up with like events that are, planned on the same day and people don't realize. And you have a plan that says, this is the guidelines for how we communicate. And like you said, identifying audience and all of that stuff this is a field with professionals, and it behooves us as a organization that employs, roughly 800 people and serves something like 3,500 students, and that doesn't even count the parents or the voters who are also would be benefited by this. What organization of that size do you know that does not hire a professional to do this? And so I think we need one.
Lori.
So it's interesting because, as you know, my dad recently passed away, so I was going through a folder, and in the folder there's a picture of Claude Levitt, the superintendent, signing his contract in the newspaper. Oh, there's a picture in the newspaper of them signing, the building and planning committee with the school board signing the new Smith gym. And I thought to myself, well, this is what used to happen. We had reporters that showed up, that listened to meetings, that ran back to print newspapers, and they got the word out. And we don't have that. So we're always scrambling ourselves. Like, we say, well, we said it at a school board meeting, but who watches I'm so glad we have people in the audience. Like, it makes us so happy, but it's like, that communication piece is no longer viable. There's newspapers are dying, and so I really believe that we have to come up with a better system, and that's what we're talking about. So I think I'd like to know how it's going to look, but I'm in agreement.
Building off of that, what a communications person will do, or a contracted service, or one of any number of options. I'm actually going to say something about that in a second. Is they'll have all that contact information for those couple of newspapers that still exist. And when something newsworthy happens, they'll push a press release out to them. And so we will get that exposure. They'll know how to do all the latest social media things that I, as embarrassingly, don't know anymore. And what people don't, I think, realize, if you haven't worked in this field, is that there is a lot of like organizational work behind the scenes to make that happen seamlessly. Yeah. And what I was going to say is, I think what we need to figure out is we need to see what our options are. We need some information about what kind of different options do we have? What will they cost? What will the benefits be? And so we can make a decision.
It absolutely has to be a full-time dedicated person that is their gig, is to do communications. Because in a couple different schools I've been in, there's been a couple of very enthusiastic teachers who on top of all their responsibilities will say, oh, I can do that, and then within 6 months they're like, I can't do this because it's so much. And as Lori said, communication has changed so much, even in just the last 5 or 6 years, let alone the last 15 or 20, where it's not only just the stuff that gets sent home that gets buried in the bottom of a backpack, but also it's the emails and the websites and the social medias and all that stuff. And that's what we hear all the time, is communication and communication and communication. We hear, the perception is, if it's not right in front of my face, then we're not communicating well. Well, we need to put it in front of people's faces, and we need to find so many different ways to do that. So it really is a full-time gig, and I think we need to look at somebody that's their job.
Well, and I will add to that one of the important feedback things that I hear all the time from parents, not just in Merrimack, from any district, is too many emails, too many text messages. If you have a kid in 2 or 3 schools, you get their teacher newsletter, you get their school newsletter, you get the district information, and being able to direct people, saying, if you want to know about the budget, this is where you go. if you want to know the schedule, here's where you go. Because taxpayers don't need to know what the third grade class at RFS is doing. You see what I'm saying? So a communications person can parse out the audiences that need to receive the information so that parents aren't on overload, taxpayers aren't going, I'm looking on social media for this information and I can't find it. And so a communications person has a really good way of targeting who needs to know what, when, and again, how much information needs to go out. Too many emails from a school will just overload parents, and then they either just stop reading them or they end up going to spam.
You know, if I might say, an important part of communications also is website design. You know, what we don't want to have is a website that represents a kind of a Where's Waldo approach in terms of not being able to find things in an easy, logical manner. I think we may want to expand that also, not only to communications with the current audience, but alumni relations, and get the alumni involved, because they could give us a lot of important feedback. And I'm going to suggest that, you know, since Jenna and Ken are on the communications committee, we start to meet with all of us and see what we come up with a plan in terms of what are best practices in terms of school district communication, what are the alternatives in terms of hiring an employee or contracting for it, and move this forward.
Lori, and then Jenna.
So, and I was going to say, hopefully we could also, when we develop this position, I'd like to also see a person who's going to just track data, so, like we talk about it, Amy does a great job bringing the stuff, but someone who can do, 10 years, this is our SAT scores, and, in every school there could be a wall that has, this is the state test scores, this is the national test scores, this is Reed's Ferry's test scores. So everyone can see that, and that's like a really important piece. Like, you have to know where you are to know how you're going to improve, and so that's just another piece I think that's missing. So if we could put that job description together, again, that's how, we do pile on, but I think that would be helpful.
Jenna.
Several of you covered things I said, and thank you for mentioning the website. The website needs to be updated. Every time I click on it, I'm like, oh my, this needs a facelift. So I think that's definitely part of it. When you mentioned the newspaper, the modern day equivalent of the newspaper is social media. Our social media, I'm sure, like you said, is probably done by somebody who has a job description that is very, very large, and social media is not there. If we could find somebody that, oh, is that you?
I've been doing the Facebook page for 10 years.
You do an amazing job,
and
Matt.
And what I have found out, that if I did a posting, Adam French helped me out about the unified track team, and he got me pictures. He did a write-up.
There was a picture. I was so excited.
There was a picture. And so what I found out in doing some research, if it's just words, people don't look at that. You've got to have pictures. And so when I put pictures with a nice write-up from Adam French on the Facebook page, it blew up. Same thing with other stuff that I've done, and I've had pictures. And so that's what it has to be about. But I've been doing that off my own personal account, which I haven't logged into in like 10 years, right? And so it's been one of these things where it'd be nice to turn it over to a professional who would know how to manage that.
Yeah.
And if you put it on Facebook, it'd be nice if it would tie into the website also. So it's not, we're doing one thing here, then we're recreating it here, then we're recreating it on the mobile app, then we're recreating on School Messenger. So it has to have like several iterations to finally get it done.
You got to start putting the agenda in emojis instead of words.
Yes.
Yeah. People will read that.
Put a picture.
Yeah, more emojis.
I'll put a big smiley face, and then everybody goes, wow.
Well, and, not for nothing, somebody closer to Chase's age, is probably better to do social media. That's not a slam on you, Matt. Somebody definitely nowhere near my age even. I'm saying somebody under, 32 probably needs to be running social media because,
Hey, I got an Instagram account.
They're
I got
better at it
27
than we
pictures of my dog.
Yeah.
No one cares.
This is what I'm talking about.
Well,
so
the
anyway,
thing-
social media. Okay,
Well, I was going to add to your social media
Okay.
comment. The analytics, they work together. So the more social media accounts you have linked together, and if you start making reels and things like that, it shows up in people's feeds more, and that's what we want. if
Reels,
people
Matt, you gotta
can't
make some
see
reels.
Make
it-
some reels.
Yeah, if people don't see it in their
Those
Instagram feed,
tape
they're not going
decks.
to look at it. They're not going to go searching for it. But you link those social media accounts, then it drives the social media manufacturers to push it out more. So pictures, reels, videos, those get pushed out more into people's feeds the more you have linked together.
That's for like down the road. You don't need to go make a reel this week, Matt.
I don't even know what a
And for professionals, Matt.
he was gonna say.
And,
know
and
what a
also,
reel
like,
is.
find a kid at the high school if you're going to make a reel. You don't want to be attempting that yourself.
You know what
But
what I'd like to do is have Matt and Amy and myself talk to the leadership team about what they would like to see in terms of enhanced communications, enhanced website design, not only the district for their individual school sites, and then begin to put together a list of expectations and requirements, and then bring this back to you. I'll meet with Jenna and Amy and Matt, and I will meet with Jenna and Ken to begin. What's that?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We
might
can
have
meet
changed.
You know
too.
what? I'm sorry. I looked at the wrong column. And share some ideas, and we'll begin to see this evolve.
I just wanted to say one more thing. After the election, the night I got home, my husband, who, as you can imagine, so closely follows all of this, said, "What happened with the budget?" And I said, "It failed." And he said, "Well, that's on you. Good night." And he literally, this whole conversation the next day, it was very heated actually, became this is a failure of communication. And that's when I think my eyes were really open. It's interesting because you would think because I'm on the board, he pays close attention. He does not. And therefore, he didn't even know some things I thought he knew because he lived in my house with me. But it was an interesting conversation we had. And
So where is he living now?
Yeah, where's he living now?
yeah, well,
That's a good one.
it's all worked
I
out.
like
Let's just say that.
All right, good discussion.
Can I
good
say
discussion.
one more tiny thing?
Yes.
2 years ago, I think right after I got on the board, I did a webinar with the New Hampshire School Boards Association about communication, and it was presented by a firm that does this for school districts. So I just wanted to make you aware that I'm sure you are, but that they might be a resource too if you're looking for information.
Yes, we're aware of several contractors who do provide that service, and we'll ultimately be interviewing them.
I want to have a contractor who does it for a rock band. I mean, no offense to the organization that does it for school districts, but when they all start looking, their websites look the same and their social media looks the same. I think thinking outside the box and innovatively is what I'd like to see. All right, moving on to a very hot social media topic, the fields. Let's move on to expectation for field preparations, and I want to thank our wonderful Tom Tussaud for being here tonight.
May I just say, this is an area in facilities and maintenance that is about as variable as anything we could deal with. We are very much dependent upon the weather, and what we put in some talking points with it was the fact that this year we had almost 1.5 inches more of rain than in last year alone, and so that has impacted. But we have a great facilities director in Tom, and we wanted to talk with some bullet points. Tom, I don't know if you, Grace, can you call up those points, please?
Okay. Awesome.
Do you want the mouse for navigation, or
Pardon me?
do you need the mouse for navigation, or would you rather,
Tom.
Flip a
Tom.
Sure.
Here we go, I'll move this out of the way for you.
Okay. I'd like to start off with talking about number of fields. Now, I say there's 7 fields, but it's kind of not really 7 fields because some of them overlap. But let me just give you the highlights. At the high school, I said there's 2 fields at the high school. One would be the football field, and one would be the lower field. At Mastacola Elementary School, I call it 1 field. Mastacola Upper Elementary School, there are, and I call it just for reference, the varsity baseball field and the varsity softball field. At the middle school, I would say there's 2 fields there, which is the upper field and the lower field. Altogether, it comes out to roughly 22 acres of sports fields that we take care of. I'm going to go with subject by subject, so if you have any questions after each one, please let me know. No, good? Okay. Next one would be school district maintenance staff. Right now, we have 2.5 people dedicated to grounds. That could be not as true as it sounds, because right now we do have filled, we have two people filled, but for the last 2.5 months, one of our persons have been out. The person who has been there consistently has been in the job less than 1 year. So we do have a lot of challenges in that area. We're very lucky, though, because the 2 maintenance staff that we do have that work in the schools do help us out all the time, so we're very lucky.
So we have essentially 1.5 people that are taking care of grounds.
We do, and the half person comes back from a
He's
person who
retired. Yeah.
retired after 41 years,
Yeah.
and he comes back and helps us out. So we're very grateful that.
You see, going back in time in 2004, 2000, was it 2000, 2003? No, 2004, 2003, 2004, we opened the middle school. We added 64 acres of land to our purview. Because it's just not fields. We got to mow the lawn around the schools, too.
Correct.
It took us around 12 years to get a .5 additional person for grounds.
Mm-hmm.
And so we've been battling this for a very long time. And right now it's to the point where, you know, hopefully the passage of the MESA contract will help, but I don't think it'll help that much in this area. But we'll see. So go ahead, Tom. I'm sorry.
Okay, I'm going to jump on one point that Matt just made. Yes, we do. Right now, we have 1.5 people that we do have a second person when they come back. The point that Matt made, and I'm very excited, and I want to thank every taxpayer, because that MESA contract was huge for us. Not only was it huge for sports fields and everything, we are still technically short 17 positions in custodian staff. So there's a lot of thanks for me in my department for passing that, and I just really wanted to make sure I mentioned that tonight.
Tom, I have a question then, Ken.
Yep.
What is your ideal number of people to have for grounds maintenance?
I would go to 3 at first. I don't want to overstep. You know, we could always say, oh, we need X amount. So my next step would actually, instead of 0.25, I think it's logical to 3, and then we would evaluate at that point. But it all does depend on how much we end up doing out in the district. One of the parts that we're going to discuss tonight is basically maybe contracting some of the field services and stuff that would impact the number of people we actually need overall, I believe.
Okay, and I think Ken had a question too.
Oh, yeah, just going back to the number of fields, because you mentioned MHS, MES, JMUs, and MMS. Do the fields at Reed's Ferry, are those ours or are those the town's?
Those, well, they're technically, I think we
We
own
own
them, but
we own
sports-
Lions Road, and we own those fields. We allow the town of Merrimack to utilize them, and they do maintain.
They do maintain them, yes, they do.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay. So next item I'd like to cover is the role of contractors. And this is what we're trying to work on it. So with the lack of staff, and how do we get certain fields, especially sports fields, done earlier than they are now? Our biggest battle is obviously Mother Nature, and there's no one has control over that. But one thing, how do we do that as a school district? How do we address that? One of the things that take up a lot of time, and this really goes into the other portion of experienced people, since we have someone with 40 some odd years retire, we're going to address it when we have layouts of fields and stuff like that. I've been working with Lori from the town, who's been awesome. She suggested that they use a company that comes out and does the initial layout. where it would take us somewhere maybe a day or two to do a layout for a football field, maybe a day, that person can come, look at it, and get it done in an hour. So bringing technology to the initial layouts will help us and save it some time. I've started, actually, I talked to the gentleman today, and we're gonna meet next week and to come up with budget prices and stuff like that. So hopefully that'll save us a little bit of time. We've already started, myself, have started putting together a criteria what the sports fields will need, and looked out, and we've talked to at least one contractor, looking at talking to more contractors to getting prices on that. So bringing help in, if we get the sports fields contracted out, possibly the 2 people that we have on board or the 2.5 positions would be enough. So it's kind of a little battle in that of where we're going to end up, but we're looking at a lot of different things.
Yeah, see, the main issue is the support staff contract. You're not supposed to contract out a service to supplant those that you could hire and mess up positions. But this is in addition. This isn't we're taking away mess up positions. This is like we want to hire mess up positions, but we need some help. So these contractors who deal with school districts in this area, very close area, would be working for us to get these fields ready. And like Tom said, they could line a field in an hour using, what is it, the robotics or something like that?
That would be for, let me be clear, that would be for the initial layout.
Initial
We
layout.
would still paint it on a regular basis.
Yeah.
Things like that, it's always better to have someone, because all of a sudden, last minute, things could change. You know, all of a sudden that game's canceled. Know that we added another game here. So it's always better to be able to keep on lining within house. So I like that part of it.
Yeah.
Another area as far as we're looking to contract is in our baseball fields to recondition them. Right now, unfortunately, what happens is there's such a push to get out there, get everything right, to get those kids out there and playing with, like they should be, their regular sports. We don't have time enough to take, like, making sure the baselines are true as they should be, making sure that mound is 100%. It is 100% safe, but it's, I got to say, if we work on it and we work on it over the summer, that'll save us some time when it comes up to actually pushing it out. So it might be 1 or 2 days, and that doesn't seem a lot to a lot of people, but that could be a game or two. And when you're talking about a very short season to start with, 1 or 2 games matters. So that's one thing Matt and Bill talked to me about. Let's see what we can do to try to move that process on. So not only is having somebody contract for the year, also getting some specialty people in here to make sure that those fields are going to be ready as soon as possible. Obviously, nothing goes more than Mother Nature controls everything, but we're working on it.
Yeah, and we have contracted out certain instances in the past, but we're going to really do it in earnest this time. We want somebody dedicated to us doing that work, much as the same way that Bedford does theirs.
So that leads me to the question that I have, and I'm sure there's an answer, that's why I'm asking. What is the advantage to contracting out versus working with the teams and the boosters for parent volunteers to get the fields ready at the beginning of the season?
Always been open to parents and volunteers, always open. Unfortunately, sometimes the equipment it takes, the time of day, commitment is very difficult. So that's our biggest issue, what time of day and making sure that everything works together. But we're open to that. If I've had where ADs in the past says, hey, what happens if someone went out and did X, Y, and Z? Absolutely great. Like this, the baseball team, they used to have cleanup. All that stuff, all those little things help out, and we appreciate them.
So first of all, I want to point out that, the field study is 10 years old. The town adopted a field study 10 years ago, and then we never got another field or moved forward with fields. So obviously, our field space is limited. going back to what Lori just said, I know that in Bedford, they do the varsity baseball coach is a Merrimack resident and graduated from Merrimack. They do have parent volunteers that do help, and I understand the whole equipment thing, having the right equipment and liability. But that would be nice if they could come and do some field cleanup. That would be perfect if we could do a Saturday or something. And then also working with the town. I know this year you did work with the town, and the town employees did come a couple days, but we have that, understanding that we could get some of those workers to help us because we do have a shortage, and, we do have a relationship with the town, and they should help us out.
Yeah, that's a great point, and I didn't want to miss that. I want to thank Paul McCallie and Lori from the town. They came over, gave us some people to help out. That was very nice of them, and we really appreciate that a lot. It was great.
And maybe that should just be a future thing, like we have a plan, and the plan is we're gonna need 4 town employees the week before, and just try to put a plan. And like you said, the weather, it's New England, but if we could say, with the town, if you could give us some workers to help us get our fields open. I don't know this specialized equipment, if the town has it or not, but if we could just work together just to try to, expedite that, because like I said, like you said, these kids, they don't want to forfeit games, and then they don't want to have 10 games in 1 week and back-to-back games all over the place. It is New Hampshire, but, it is, it's important because we do, as we were talking about the number of kids who are signing to go on to play in college, which is really incredible, the number of kids that get that opportunity.
The only thing I do want to point out is I don't think we're far behind of like the town. It's not like the town's ready and we're not. I mean, it really works hand in hand when I talk with them. I as unhappy as I am that it takes us long, it seems like all our peers are in the same boat. Because whenever I talk to another town or another school district, I should say, or I talk to the town, it seems like we're in line. So it's not like I'm saying, God, you have a magic bullet. What is it? Everybody struggles on the same thing, and no one's really happy, including us, that we're not ready, but we're all working towards that goal.
Right, and a lot of the Division I schools and a lot of the Division II schools do have turf fields that take the pressure off of for lacrosse, and some of that's taken care of by the maintenance of that field.
I think that's a huge point, and that's really, I think sometimes that's misunderstood.
Right,
because
people
other
say,
towns
why
could
can
say,
Pinkerton
hey, my
have
kid,
everyone there? Well,
my student
why.
plays, they had a game over here. Well, yes, they did have a game over there, but that is on an artificial
Right.
field. Huge advantage.
Well, that's why I think that getting back, Jenna and I are on that athletic, getting us back together, working with the town, and coordinating the effort, and also communicating so people understand. Because like Lori said, it was, blew up on social media, like we were the only town in the world that didn't open their fields, and so that's not true.
And people should be reminded that it was 5 years ago that a turf field was on the ballot and it was voted down.
Yeah, that's something that, Bedford had, when they built Bedford High School and Ross Lergio Middle School, they included a turf field. I think 12 years ago, they had to replace it. The initial build for that was 1.6 mil, and then the replacement, I forget what the number was, but it was over $1 million to replace the field. So it's something you've got to look at every 12 years. You're going to have a large capital expense, but is it worth it to get the utility out of it and to use it all the time? It is, but you still have to be cautious with it too, because people say, oh, you have a turf field, it doesn't cost anything to maintain, so you're going to save money. No, you're not, because you got to groom that thing all the time. You've got to get the right people with the right equipment. It's nothing that I would want maintenance to do. I would want to contract that out and get somebody to groom it, put those little rubber pebbles in there, whatever the heck they're called, and to do it the proper way.
Well, and I'm going to add to the discussion on, other districts. And the thing that I've seen having kids and their friends in different areas, it also depends on what field and where it is in the town. Some towns, their baseball field was ready, but lacrosse couldn't play. Or lacrosse could play, but baseball couldn't. But what you see is what affects your student's field. And so if my student can't play baseball on our field, and I can go to another town and play, then, I can understand the concern for my students' experience. But even district to district, there were fields that were ready and others that weren't. And there were also fields that got flooded with the rain that were ready to begin with, but then couldn't be played on. So this spring was very hard on all the athletic fields across the state.
I think when we're looking at overall fields too, the baseball fields and the softball fields, great drainage. The only problem we really have with the field would be at the middle school.
At the middle school.
And that's something we've talked about in the past. Again, big decisions. That's up to the taxpayer, what you ultimately want to do. So
Yeah, see, the issue with the middle school was it's kind of like Reed's. Reed's used to be an old brickyard over there. And what do you need with bricks? You need clay. So there's a lot of clay base over at Reed's. Although the fields going down Lyons Road, they're not that bad. But in other parts, there's a large deposits of clay there. It's like the front entrance to Reed's, where the walkways are. Years ago when I first got here and I was walking around with Jim O'Neill, everything was heaved up and down. We replaced that. We had to dig down 4 feet to get rid of all the clay to put a good base so that sidewalk to the entrance of Reed's Ferry wasn't heaving and becoming a tripping hazard. So a lot of it has to do with subsurface soil conditions. Up at the middle school, where you have that glacial till coming off the mountain with that 30-foot cut, right? There is down there, they got rid of a lot of it, but there is still the clay base. So it's kind of like you're building a field inside of a bathtub. There's no drainage. So we did a couple of years ago go in front of the budget committee and the board, put some drainage in there. Steve Keach designed that.
yeah, we worked on a swale
And a swale, yes.
and actually a drainage pipe underneath the swale
Yeah.
to catch it. That was
To
like a
catch it.
second bite at the apple.
That was the second bite at the apple. We may have to look. I remember Andy Hunter asked the question of us, well, what do we do if it doesn't work? Well, we go to Plan B. Now we're probably looking at Plan B, and Plan B is something that's it's going to cost some money if you want to utilize that field and have it drain. You're going to have to put, correct me if I'm wrong, Tom, underground drainage in that field.
That's correct.
Correct.
My final point is, I went to Merrimack High School and I could play on the fields because the addition came in it was built in 77, but it came in 78. It took all the fields out of the back of the school and we built more schools with no fields. So there was a day where you could play on the fields because they were there, but they're no longer there because of the growth. I think when I started at Merrimack High School, there was 1,100 kids. When I left, there was 1,800 and some, so many kids. It just kept growing and growing and growing. And so with that, we just kept expanding the schools that were built in, like I think 1950, just additions. So I think the field study, getting people back together, getting good people on those fields looking for alternatives would be a good.
Yeah, Laura, you're absolutely, I'm sorry, Jenna. You're absolutely correct, because I think every school in the Mastrocola complex area has at least 6 additions to it. And what you've done is, over the course of the decades, everybody was well-intended, that you just cut off field space. It's like, one thing I'm concerned about is, if you take away the Our Lady of Mercy parking lot, which we use, on their good graces, they could give us 90 days notice, we could be gone from there. We have no place to park the cars for the teachers anymore. So that's a concern that I've had for a number of years, and hopefully we won't get there, but it's something we need to plan for in the future. How do we reconfigure these buildings in order to give us more field space, and how do we take care of potential parking that could be associated with that? And I've often said that the Mastrocola complex kind of has that feeling of a urban campus in a suburban community. And that's really kind of a shame, because it could be something really spectacular, and it is. But it's just addition after addition after addition over the years was the most prudent way to go about taking care of the population explosion.
So one thing back when we were talking about the turf situation, I remember I was part of bringing that option to the taxpayers, and I remember reaching out to the MYA and having a conversation with the director at the time, and honestly I don't even remember who it was. It's been long enough, but them saying they were not going to support the turf field, and they were not going to support it because my words, not theirs, but the spirit is there. There was a contentious relationship between the school and the MYA. Not contentious, but it's, they wanted to control of any fields that were going to be new and built, right? So that failed. And then this year, MYA put up their thing, and that failed. My thinking is maybe we could all work together for the youth in this town. And I don't know what the history is behind that. I have no idea. To me, it makes no sense, and it's anti-community. We could work together maybe with the MYA to find a whole town field solution that would benefit all students. And I just feel like, we've tried to go at it, and they've tried to go at it, and there hasn't been a lot of solution to the problem. I don't know the history there. I couldn't speak to it. I've never really been involved in the MYA. My kids have played, but I've not personally been involved. But if we could mend whatever fences have been broken and work better together, I'm thinking it would be a win for our town. That's just my 2 cents.
One of the things the Parks and Rec Committee talks about fairly frequently, actually, is fields and lack thereof in town. So that would be another group to loop in as well.
So everyone agrees we have a problem. Why don't we get everybody around the table and figure out how do we collectively solve this problem that we all know exists and we all want fixed for our kids and our students and our community.
Tom, is there anything else you'd like to share?
I think we've talked about everything.
Okay.
If that's okay with everybody.
Well, I want to thank you for your time, for coming and presenting this. Definitely, I think it's good when we were able to communicate all in one. As I said at the last board meeting when I asked Bill to have you come and discuss this, that you are always very thorough in your answers and you have good reasons behind what is happening. And I think it's good that we're all on the same page tonight.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tom.
All right, moving on to the memo of agreement between the school board and the Merrimack Teachers Association regarding reduction in force. Bill.
This is an agreement, as the title on the agenda suggests. There were certain issues sometimes associated with a reduction of force that is necessitated by budget considerations. And this is one that is required to essentially protect a long-time employee whose assignment is being changed. And that's pretty much all I can share in public, but it is kind of somewhat of a standard procedure to make sure that a person who's been here for many, many years is not bumped out of line and with respect to seniority and other conditions of employment.
So, board members, you've seen that agreement, and we just need to take a public vote on it. So I will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to accept the memo of agreement between the school board and the MTA.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Lori? Moved by Ken, seconded by Lori. All those in favor, say aye. 5-0-0.
Thank you.
I'd like to revisit the MESA contract. All of you received it in your email. We can take a public vote tonight on that contract so that the Panda Docs can come my way to sign. So I'll entertain a motion to accept the final version of the MESA contract.
I make that motion.
Motion by Naomi,
I'll second.
second by Jenna. Discussion? All those in favor? 5-0-0. And lastly, and I'll open it up to other new business. We will be moving forward with consolidating that evaluation for Bill. Lori has taken on that work. Everyone's received that document. Please fill that out if you have not already and send it to her. And I'll be working with her on that compilation.
And I asked Lori for a deadline because I work better with deadlines. So she gave me June 1st.
I said June 1st. Gives us plenty of time.
All right, well, I already got mine in, so.
Of course, Lori.
That's okay. I work better with deadlines too. It was why I was up till 1 o'clock last night. All right. Any other new business? Okay, we will move on to the approval of minutes. The April 1st non-public, which had the corrections of Lori's name and her spelling. The public and non-public minutes of April 15th and April 18th, the public special minutes. Are there any corrections to those? Naomi.
April 18th, line 15 should say Chair Peters.
Oh, yeah. Any other corrections? Then I will make a motion to accept all three of the minutes from April 1st, 2024 non-public, April 15th public and non-public, and April 18th with the correction on line 15 to have Peters written there for the public special minutes.
I'll second.
Any discussion? So motion made by myself, Lori Peters, seconded by Ken. All those in favor? 5-0-0. Moving on to the consent agenda.
This is a long consent agenda tonight, so here we go. We'll start with educator resignations. Tonight, we bring forward a collection of resignations for you to consider and approve. Jennifer Rosito, Special Education Coordinator at Merrimack Middle School. Megan Chavanel, School Counselor, Reeds Ferry. Debbie Rapson, Technology Education Teacher, Merrimack Middle School. Hannah Green, Elementary Classroom Teacher at James Mastrocola Upper Elementary School. And Caitlin Susi, Special Education Teacher at Thorntons Ferry. We want to take a moment to recognize these folks and thank them for their service to the district. And then teacher nominations. Michael Smith will become a new school counselor at Merrimack Middle School. Jennifer Labonte, social studies teacher at Merrimack Middle School. And Gina Richards, technology education teacher, Merrimack Middle School. Kathleen Hilliard, special education teacher, Merrimack Middle School. And Amy Berquist, special education teacher at Mastrocola Elementary School. And then in your packet tonight is a slate of both the administrative staff and teachers that are on a continuing contract and probationary teachers. So we'll start with the administrative slate. The administrative slate is familiar to you with the exception of our new assistant principal yet to be named at Reeds Ferry. I do know that Bonnie and her team are working through that process. So we do hope to have someone to you during, at least maybe at the next meeting, but definitely during June. At the first page, page 1 of 12, these are the teachers that are moving to a continuing contract. So those that are familiar with this process, if you are brand new to the district, you have 5 years before you move to a continuing contract, unless you have received portable tenure from another district in the state. So these are folks that are moving from a probationary status to a continuing contract status. And then on page 2 begins our list of probationary teachers. That's pages 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then pages 6 through 12 are our continuing contract teachers. So we're asking you tonight to approve the entire slate of both administrators and teachers.
Do I have a motion?
I would be happy to make a motion that we accept our consent agenda as presented.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Moved by Jenna, seconded by Ken. Discussion? Naomi.
I have one quick thing I wanted to say. One of the things I noticed about this list, I mean, I just kind of wanted to point out that when I started on the board, we were getting like lists and lists and lists of resignations for a couple of weeks. And part of that was due to COVID. But one of the things that has stood out to me this year is that we're not getting those lists and lists and lists. And so I just wanted to recognize a couple of things that have contributed to that I'm really proud of, and one of those is the stable leadership that we've had. Bill, I think you've been here 3 years now. Is this the end of your third year? And Amy, this is the end of your second year. And so having that stable leadership for the last 2-3 years, I think has helped a ton. And so I wanted to thank you for that. And I also wanted to thank the voters for, again, we've been harping on the MESA contract, but last year passing the teacher contract, which I'm guessing has also played a huge role in that stability. And one thing that I was just noticing when you were reading the names is that the new teachers who you were nominating are all highly experienced teachers. And the two who are coming in at step one are actually folks who we've grown their careers within the district, and they've been with us a long time, and they're moving up from paraeducator roles into teaching positions. And I just wanted to say how exciting that was.
May I say thank you for your comments? I just want to recognize another person too, and that's Matt, because he is extraordinarily skilled in financial management, and we don't seem to have the sawtooth effect of hiring, laying off, and he's created great financial stability, which is extraordinarily important because it allows for continuance of programs and staffing that's appropriate. So Matt, thank you also.
I just want to add to Naomi's comment that this round of hiring this year, as you've noticed, we've really been able to have a selection of many people that want to work here. And I'm just also really happy, as you've noticed, with the experience. A lot of these folks are coming to us with established careers, with an established professional practice. And even though we want to give people the opportunity to start their career here, it's also nice to be able to plug in some folks that can just hit the ground running. So it's a combination of, as you've noticed, also the change in culture. I think, we've hired some really great administrators over the last couple of years as well. So, but thank you for your support tonight. We're hiring a lot of people tonight.
And I appreciate that you've met the goal the school board set to attract and retain quality staff and faculty. And so I appreciate that very much. With that, I will call the question. All those in favor of accepting the consent agenda?
Aye.
500. All right, moving on to committee reports.
We just got our
We
committee.
just got our assignments, so I don't think we have any committee reports. Correspondence. Lori.
I just had one. It was an NHIA question, so.
I still had questions about the fields, and I had one question about graduation.
I've had multiple questions about graduation.
Quiet over here.
All right, comments from the board. Lori.
So I just also want to say what Bill said. It's always great in these school board meetings to have Matt and his institutional knowledge, because he can go back and do the dance in the 70s, in the 80s, in the 90s, and it's just really great that he has just so much knowledge that he offers us, and he's been there through all of the buildings and the growth that Merrimack has and the challenges. So we appreciate that.
Thank you.
Your mind is a steel trap of history, too. Any other comments from the board? All right. Well, with that, we will move on to public comments on agenda items. If you would like to step up to the mic, feel free. State your name and address. And if you're a student, which I don't see any, but if you're a student, you never have to tell us your address.
Hello, my name is Shannon Rand. I live at 1 Blair Road. I had a few comments. The first one was, I love that Tom came out here and talked about the fields. Although my kids don't use the fields, they used to use them way back in the day, so I can understand why our parents and our kids are eager to get out there. I had mentioned a couple of things, like I know that the Bedford Booster Club invites the Bedford schools to do like a cleanup day. It's actually a weekend. I think they use it as Earth Day, and it's something that it gets sent out to everybody in the town. And I was driving that day down the road and all the blue bags of just cleaning. And they also are out there beautifying the schools and helping out with mulching and things like that. Just helping to get fields ready, that type of stuff. I was wondering, because I know that some people here are on Parks and Recs, maybe we could meet with our own leagues, our own coaches in our own town and get everybody together. And next spring, during Earth Day, get our community together and work as a whole. That was just a comment. And I think another big thing is, I'm glad that you brought this up, Matt. Mr. Olson, was that miscommunication or communication. There's a lot of miscommunication about fields. And you talked about like contracting, like there are places out there that can contract. My daughter, who is a senior now at Colby Sawyer, is doing an internship, and it is 6 months out of the year. Have we looked at our local universities, looking at asking them, hey, can we create an internship for these kids that are graduating soon, and maybe get their help and their intake, and can we pay them a sub-salary, you know, something like that along the lines to try to keep the cost down for the school. So I just thought it was a great way to help out our community, our kids that are actually going to be coming out in the next year, pay them a good salary, and getting the latest and greatest on media, on what's out there. They have all those tools. They can use that at their professors or their school's expense. We should cash upon it. I just thought that was a mention. And then those are my three things. So I'm really excited about the communication. I think that will be great for our community. And again, I hope if I can be any assistance, let me know. Thank you.
All right, seeing no more comments, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I will make a motion to adjourn.
Moved by Jenna. Do I have a second?
I will second.
Second by Ken. All those in favor?
Aye.
500. Thank you and good night.
Does anyone